Mike, it is great to have you back on the show, although maybe not the greatest time right now for Blue Jays fans. They should mostly be happy given results from last year, offseason in general. But have we reached the greedy point with the fan base that expected Kyle Tucker to also land in their lap? What's the reaction up in Canada today?
I mean, we
Oh,
saw the
wait.
Blue Jays sort
Are you
of
guys hearing me?
throwing their weight.
No.
No. Okay. We
Uh-oh.
got we got a little mute situation going on. Stand by.
We'll figure it out. It happens sometimes, Mike. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's
No.
Trevor's fault.
Hey,
So-
I think we got you.
Hey,
Re-rack
can you
it.
hear me now?
We got you,
We got
Mike.
you.
What do you have for
Okay,
us?
awesome. I don't think it's greedy. I think the way the Blue Jays were throwing their weight around in this offseason and snapping up Dylan Cease right away, and throwing almost $40 million at a reliever, they kind of expected one of Tucker or Bichette to wind up here in Toronto, and I did too. I thought the Blue Jays were absolutely going to sign either one or the other, and to not get both or to not get either is pretty disappointing. But I don't think from a greedy sense. I think from a team building sense, it feels like they're still maybe a bat short of where you'd like them to be right now. I mean, this is a team that did lead the major leagues in batting average and on base percentage last year, but was middle of the pack in homers. And it feels like they're really counting on, if this is it, like if they don't make the move on Bellinger or make a trade and get somebody else, um, you're really counting on George Springer to repeat what he did last year, and now he's 36. And you're counting on a big bounce back from Anthony Santander that may or may not happen after he lost an entire year. So I would say less greedy and more, it sort of felt like this was almost inevitable, and now it hasn't happened.
Before we pivot to Bellinger and talk about the possibilities of that, which one do you think hurts more? The fact that they didn't bring Bo back, or the fact that they didn't sign Tucker when it was like, okay, like which one? Because you talked about power, because there's power with Tucker, but then you talked about the lineup and what they did last year. Bo was part of that. So which one hurts more?
I mean, Bo's hit 25 homers too, so there's power there. I was going to say 30, but I'm not sure he's gotten to 30. But there's power there, and obviously that home run he hit in Game 7 of the World Series was beyond ridiculous. When you say hurts, Bo hurts more. I've said it a few times over the course of this winter. It's not going to feel right uh, for the Blue Jays to open camp, to take the field, whatever, without Bo Bichette. Now, he's been part of this organization for a decade. He's been part of the team since he got called up in August of 2019 in Kansas City. He got a hit in his first big league at bat and something like 12 doubles in his first 10 games or something to set a major league record. He's been an integral part of this thing and a running mate of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s. And it's just going to be so weird. This will be the first time that Vladdy has played on a team without Bo since 2016, I believe, which is wild. For a full season, he was up a few months earlier in 2019 than Bichette. But Bo is maybe outside of Luis Arraez the best pure hitter in the game, and he's got way more pop than Arraez too. He will grind in at bat. He'll foul off a million pitches, and then he'll just smack a double the other way. He's just so hard on pitchers and so much fun to watch. But then, Kyle Tucker is left-handed. He doesn't strike out, takes his walks, has the power, seemed like the perfect fit behind Vlad in the lineup. And so that hurts too. And I think that's what the Jays front office saw a little bit more, and they were more intent on Tucker than they were on Bo. But Bo should have been done months ago here in Toronto. He wanted to stay, but I guess either he wanted to shop his offers or the front office just didn't want to meet his price. But it should be said, they didn't want to meet Vlad's price last year either and had to be forced into it by ownership. That took until April, and they didn't have that luxury this time because Vlad wasn't a free agent and Bo was.
Was there some feelings hurt by Bo? You talked about the connection between him and Vlad. They've been together the whole time. Vlad was hearing extension talks. Bo, from all that we've heard, he was not hearing extension talks. Vlad got his extension after Bo had a down year. I mean, I think Bo would even say that. So do you think this relationship was a little severed maybe 2-3 years ago when, in my opinion, you said they should have been locked up months ago? I think Bo should have been locked up years ago.
Oh yeah, like put me in back in 2019 and I'm signing Bo and Vlad to, Ronald Acuna and Ozzy Albies contracts for sure. But also, if I'm doing that, I'm also signing Jordan Romano and Danny Jansen and Kevin Biggio and Alek Manoah to contracts like that, and some work and some don't. But yeah, they could have saved themselves hundreds of millions of dollars by being more proactive and by having more faith in their players for sure. As far as the more recent extension talks, I don't think, I mean, if it rubbed Bo the wrong way, then, he's got to look at himself. And I don't think it did. But coming off a year like Bo had in 2024, after he missed half the season hurt and hit 225 and had the worst year of his career, there was no way to sign him for an extension. I mean, if the Blue Jays had made an offer there, it would have been way short of what Bo wanted, and rightfully so. And if Bo had come in with his number, it would have been crazy high coming off of the injuries in the year. So it really was not a good fit for an extension, which doesn't mean they couldn't have revisited it at the All-Star break this year when we saw Bo was back to being Bo. And we kind of understand that that's his level of performance when he's healthy. But as far as an extension last winter, there was just no number that would have been remotely close for both sides.
I love the optimism that it would have been an option to sign to an Acuna and an Ozzy Albies deal. I'm assuming Ozzy in this situation is Bichette, but he's got an ex-MLB player for a dad. I don't think 7 for 35 maybe would have been on the table, but maybe something close. I do like that a lot, though. So now we know that Bo is not on the table anymore, and as well as Kyle Tucker. Of the free agents that are left, who do you think could be the best, maybe top 2 fits to help the Blue Jays in 2026?
Well, first of all, I agree with you on the Albies thing. I was just talking strategy and as opposed to numbers, but lock these guys up for 7 or 8 years. But yeah, that would have been swell. But too many major league dads in that they didn't need the money for sure. Cody Bellinger obviously stands out as the next best fit, especially when the Blue Jays seem to have been so focused on Kyle Tucker. I mean, Bellinger has shown he can play in the AL East. He is a very good defensive outfielder as opposed to Tucker, and defense is something that the Blue Jays seem to really want. It's a weird fit, but Tucker would have been a weird fit, and they were willing to make it happen because you've got Addison Barger, you've got Anthony Santander and George Springer, and while Barger played a lot of third last year, Kazuma Okamoto was here to do that this year, and you would assume that they didn't give him $60 million to be a part-time player. So you wonder quite how the dominoes are going to roll that way. But I would imagine that Cody Bellinger is the next target. And if not, look, you've got Nathan Lucas. And Nathan Lucas, while he's been an average major league hitter, was good enough to be a leadoff man in a World Series game and score the winning run in that game. You've got Joey Loperfido, who came up last July and was ridiculous for 6 weeks, who might get a chance as well. But it does feel like, if you're acting like a bully in free agency, and you're taking aim at the Kyle Tuckers of the world, then a pivot to Cody Bellinger should not be out of your reach at all.
I think there's probably some more versatility there because you're going to lose Dalton Varsho soon. You don't want Anthony Santander playing into his last years of his contract in the outfield. So yeah, I think Cody has more versatility. Are the Blue Jays the number 1 team in the American League East as we sit here today?
Yeah, I think so. Boston's improved their pitching, but just to catch up to the Blue Jays, right? You've got a top 4 in your rotation of Gausman, Cease, Bieber, and Yesavage. and Jose Barrios is your fifth, or Cody Ponce, who just had the best year anyone's ever had in Korea. That's pretty good. And as much as Jeff Hoffman gave up that home run in Game 7 of the World Series, Jeff Hoffman was a solid closer. Jimmy Garcia's terrific. Um, Taylor Rogers, I can't tell the Twins apart. Whichever Rogers the Blue Jays wound up getting is
Tyler.
ridiculous. Tyler, he's I mean, stupid. A 620 OPS against both sides for a knuckle dragger. That's amazing. The bullpen is solid. Could use a capital C closer to push everybody down, but doesn't need it. And again, it's a tremendous defense and a very good offense. So yeah, the Yankees haven't done anything. The Orioles haven't done enough. I do think the Blue Jays right now are still the best team in the AL East.
Is there a scenario that we look at and we say the Blue Jays are a sleeper team for a trade? Because everything has been free agent.
Yeah.
Everything has been in that free agency. But when you have a season where you're coming off a World Series and you have the Nathan Lucas, you have the Ernie Clement, you have the Addison Bargers, which the casual fans had no idea about. Are the Blue Jays in a position, do you feel like they've built up so much cachet that they'd be fine getting rid of some of their big league talent to land that one last piece in a trade? Because all that we've heard about the Blue Jays mostly has been money, 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 and then bring this trade in to give them that final piece.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, all those extra pieces, right? Lucas and Loper Fido, Davis Schneider, even Jose Barrios, though that's a tough contract to move. Lucas is tough to move also because he's 31 and he's only had one full season in the majors. But you know, you could dangle Addison Barger to get that one final piece. There are pieces that this team can trade. They have a surplus of players and they have some solid prospects in the lower minors. So absolutely, I'm not putting it past them to make a deal. We're still a month away from a full squad at spring training. There's lots of time to do things. And it's true, we have absolutely been concentrating on the free agent market so much, probably because of Cease and because of all the Tucker talk from the beginning of the offseason. But they are well positioned to make a trade if there's a fit.
Blue Jays fans' perception of the Dodgers, they fall just short in the World Series, and the Dodgers have beat them in some signings lately. Hey, I think this is a golden era right now for the Jays, and in summary, we've capitalized for sure, right? Or they've capitalized on all of the money they made, all of the attention they're grabbing, but gotta imagine they just despise the Dodgers at the moment and how they've grabbed Shohei and some others. Or is it more like us against the not the world, but what was it during the World Series? We don't need you, something along those lines to Shohei, right?
Yeah. And the same thing will happen. Well, the same thing would happen to Tucker. I guess the Dodgers are here this year. So, yeah, the same thing will probably happen to Tucker, the "we don't need you" chant. It was amazing with Shohei there in Game 1 of the World Series. And I think, you know, the Dodgers are now what the Yankees and Red Sox used to be here living in the AL East for the last forever. The Blue Jays had a ton of very good teams between 1998 and 2014 and couldn't get a sniff because the Yankees and the Red Sox were the big bullies on the block. And now the Dodgers are that. And I think it's great. I mean, I'd much rather the $60 million go to Kyle Tucker every year than go into the pockets of the Dodgers owners. And Rogers, who owns the Blue Jays, the Jays honestly are like their entire payroll is a rounding error on the Rogers balance sheet because so much of their money comes from cable and wireless. So you can afford it, go spend it. Better to spend it on the players than to keep it for yourselves. But yeah, Dodgers, Jays fans are not happy with the Dodgers for sure. Ohtani, Sasaki, now Tucker. Though it feels like the Mets finished second to Tucker as opposed to the Blue Jays there because he was looking for, I guess, a short-term high-value deal. But it's great to have a villain. And for a while there, the Blue Jays were the villains in the American League this offseason, and they may still be, and they haven't been for a very, very, very long time. But yeah, everybody hates the Dodgers. I don't think they're ruining baseball. I think it's great. I think more teams should behave like they do, and I'm glad that the Blue Jays are starting to, but there is zero love lost. I've had a couple of people already in the last day tell me that the only that 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 they want the Blue Jays to win the World Series in 2026, but it will only taste really good if they do it against the Dodgers.